Oh, okay.
Thank you all so much this is She Blurs Podcast. Today's guest is Jim Christina. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm retired. I have after many years in the business world, and I picked up writing. Oh golly, about 2008. I had a character rolling around in my head for a number of years, and so I finally decided to sit down and do something about it. And that book came out. It was The Hunter, and it's a story of a aging manhunter in Arizona in the 1880s. And that one book grew into like 15 novels. Well, actually 13 of him, and then some standalones. And so now, 6 years ago, I started a radio show on LA Talk Radio called The Writer's Block. We interview, much like yourself, we interview writers of all kinds. We've just had some phenomenal ones on, and we've got some really good guests coming up in the near future. So I'm a busy guy. I work on. I'm still writing, and I read a book every week for my show. And what can I say?
That's awesome. That's amazing. Yeah, I was looking at your website, the LA Talk Radio, and I was gonna apply to become one of the hosts on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to make time though because I'm so busy. Like I'm getting so many interviews, and I'm like, wow. So I'm gonna see if I can make time to be on there.
Yeah, they have a number of hosts on there. It's actually owned by Sam Hassan, and he has several different hosts, and he actually has taken the time and the graciousness to help sponsor our show.
Wow.
So we're the only one, I believe, that LA Talk Radio is a sponsor of.
Oh, wow.
The rest, yeah. So it's really kind of neat. He likes our show like that, so it's really worked out well for us. And we're going into our 7th year next week.
Wow! Congratulations! That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, we go out live at 6 p.m. on Thursday nights worldwide, and then of course it's live radio. And as you well know, things happen and oftentimes do, and that's half the fun of doing live radio. And then the podcasts are available directly after the show, about an hour after the show. They're available to download and listen to if you want.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah.
I saved it on my on my laptop. I saved it in the little star link thing, so I can.
Well, good. I'm glad you did.
So, when did you first realize you wanted to become an author?
Oh, golly! Back when I was a junior in high school, maybe even a freshman. I did a lot of music. I wrote a lot of music and poetry back, and I graduated from high school in 1967. So, yeah, I'm kind of an old guy. I put together a compendium of everything that I'd written from 1967 to 1983.
Wow.
And it's now published. It's available on Amazon. It's called That's All You Get. And it's poetry mixed in with song lyrics, and each one has a little blurb as to how it came to be at the top of it. So it's kind of an interesting read. Even if you don't read the poetry or the lyric, at least you can find out where my brain was.
Yes.
That many years ago. Not always in a good place, but always there, kind of, almost.
Somebody had commented on her. Can you see the comments in the section?
No.
You can't. Okay.
No. Oh, wait a minute.
Cannot post the radio show. So
can you post the radio show? Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get on the website right now while we're on here, and then post it on here.
Well, I'll give it to you. Just go to latalkradio.com.
Oh, yeah.
/content /writers, no hyphen, no apostrophe, writers -block.
Oh.
That takes you right to our page.
Oh, okay. 1 second. I'm trying to add it because she wants to know. Is that the link that's scrolling at the bottom? Is that it? Or is it?
latalkradio.com. Yeah, that's the link to the radio station. Then you have to go after the /content writer's block.
Content writer's block. Okay.
Right, content, and then / again writer's block.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna try to add that on there for her so she can see because
Okay.
she's asking for the website.
That'd be Marcy Greenberg.
Yes. Oh, you can see it?
I can see her. Hi, Marcy. How are you?
Hopefully she responds back. Yeah, she's still looking.
No, there's a hyphen between writers and block.
Writers and block. Oh.
Yeah. And that should get you there.
I usually have this scrolling at the bottom, but
Oh, scrolling. I can see it.
you can.
But right now I can't because you have nothing scrolling. But there we go. That's it.
Okay. Got it now. Okay. Okay. Better.
Yeah.
Oh,
And plus all of that, I have a business partner, Richard Polinelli. Actually, he was just trying to call me. He's we own this little company, little indie publishing company named Tuscany Bay Books.
Oh.
And we do books of all kinds. Richard primarily is a sci-fi writer, and I primarily write westerns. And we've written one book together called The Last Lonely Trail. And but we do, if you're a writer and you want to have your work looked at, you can always go to our website, TuscanyBayBooks.com, and go do an inquiry, and we'll pick it up and take a look at it.
That's amazing. So hopefully she's listening because she's also an author. So hopefully she's listening.
Oh, good for you. Yeah.
So where do you get your ideas from when you think of your stories?
I'm a history major. So I mean, and I specialized in 1840, 1890, that era. So in U.S. history.
Mm-hmm.
So the expansion period was always amazing to me. That there was so much going on, and it was such a short period of time. It was only like 50 years that all of this stuff took place. I mean, the Western movies would like you to think that it's like, forever, but it wasn't. It was only 50 years. But there's so many stories that you can tell that, number one, have not been told or have been told incorrectly, or people tend to think that, all Western novels are like Louis L'Amour. And Louis L'Amour wrote, I mean, he had good stories, but all his characters were like 6 foot, square shouldered, narrow waist, square jaw, never got dirty, never went to the bathroom, never did anything. I mean, they were, my guys are like, they roll around in the mud and the muck and the beer. I mean, they're just like, they're guys,
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I said I definitely agree.
Yeah, they're guys, and they act like guys, and they don't ride their horses until they drop, and they walk their horses everywhere, and when they get off, they groom them. They take care of their animals first, then they take care of themselves, and that's just the way it was.
Yeah,
but a lot of movies don't see that, and it's like, oh, that's too bad. But hey.
True. So this is a question outside of the questions I have for you. So what did you think of the movie, and I think it was a book, True Grit? Because I really like that one.
Oh, well, I like the book.
You like the book?
I like the book. I'm not a big fan of the John Wayne version. The second version was pretty good. It followed the book a lot closer. In fact, that was a question at a Western Writers Festival that I went to, that they asked a panel I was on. What did you think of the difference between the two movies and the book and the movies? And that's pretty much everybody that was up there said the same thing. The second movie was better done. It wasn't just a Duke vehicle. It was a vehicle to tell a story, in actuality, tell a story. And they did a good job. So, yeah, I mean, the Duke was the Duke in True Grit 69. And then you get Jeff Bridges, who looked like an old scum-togged, I mean, he looked like an old Western marshal with one eye.
So what does your family think of your writing, your stories?
My family, as far as I know, with only one exception, they all read them. My cousins are big fans. They live in Morro Bay and San Luis Obispo, and they're constantly calling and writing for more books. Both my folks have passed on, but my mother was a big fan. She read my first three books and really liked them. My brother is he's kind of a retired logger kind of guy, so he likes the rough and tumble stuff.
Mhm. That's
So yeah, yeah. And my latest book, I was really sick last year. I spent most of the summer in the hospital, so I didn't get a chance to do any writing last year. So this year I picked up and I'm working on two books. But my last one that I did that was published was called Jefferson's Chance, and actually it's my crown vehicle. I love that book, and
that
it's about a kid that loses his leg to a snake bite in 1850 or so. But he gets to be 23 and he wants to be a Texas Ranger, and he can't be because he only has one leg. And he runs into this engineer who's actually the engineer who designed the Waco suspension bridge in Texas in 1870. And the engineer, he's out of a job. He's begging for drinks. He wants to do something. And he says, I can design you a leg. I can't make it. I can design you a leg that'll work just like a real leg. And he goes, yeah, well, how much? And he goes, oh, I don't know. He says, well, how long will it take you to build it? He goes, oh, I don't build them. I design them. You have to get someone else to build it. Well, he does. And he comes up with a leg that works just like a real leg and foot. It's all springs and hinges, and it once Jefferson gets used to wearing it, you can't tell he's got a limp. You can't even tell he's got a fake leg.
Wow.
And he goes back to the ranger captain and dances on his floor and kind of jumps up and down. And the captain says, "Well, I reckon you grew yourself a new leg, so welcome to the Rangers."
Wow.
And sends him on a fool's errand, and a fool's errand it turns out not to be. And the book then therein becomes well, not suspenseful, but really, really, really a good story. Really a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you give our listeners just a brief summary of your newest novels?
Oh wow! My newest ones or all of them? I've got.
Yes,
I've got books starting. The first one was The Hunter, then Requiem for an Appaloosa, Eastern Men. Oh golly, there's just so many. Still Waters is one of my favorites. Contraband Cowboys, about the black cowboys in Arizona in the 1880s.
Wow.
Yeah, and the range war that went on up in Wilkins Valley in 1881 or 82 between the night riders and the black ranchers and farmers in the area, and it actually was a war, and they went at it pretty tooth and nail for a while. And there's oh geez, I don't know. I mean, there's so many. Still Waters, like I said, one of my favorites. One of my very favorites is Long Ride to Morning, about two cowboys who go after a guy who killed a friend of theirs, and they wind up in Arizona, and they with no job, no money, and they hook up with this trail drive, and it's a good solid story, and it's a lot of fun to read, and but it makes you cry a little bit. But yeah, but one of the characters lasts throughout a lot of the books. His name is Jeff Stryker. He keeps coming back. I did a supernatural one called The Return, about a demon who he hooks up with ministers that have lost their faith, and he takes them over, and he kills his parishioner in Arizona or in Alabama and takes off, and he winds up in Arizona, and he's running a gang of cattle rustlers, and nobody knows what he is other than he's leading this gang, and but he keeps seeing him doing strange things, and at the end of that one particular, it's a story told in two parts, and at the end of part one, he goes away, but part two he's back.
Wow.
And the same people are after him on part two, but now they're in Louisiana, and no horses. They're riding in pirogues and dugout canoes in the swamps of Louisiana, looking for this guy. And talk about two Arizona cowboys, way out of their league and way out of their realm. This is it. And that book is really hard to write because it has a lot of Cajun dialect in it.
Oh,
and I mean that takes research to figure out, because they talk funny. Those people down there.
So, what are those books called again?
Well, that one I just told you about is called A Return.
The Return.
And there's a Still Waters, who is it's a story of a woman and children who go to the hunter's ranch in Arizona, and they wind up being killed by Apaches, and the hunter goes after him. It's 30 renegades, and he takes Stryker with him, and they go after him, and one by one they start taking these Apaches out.
Wow.
And it comes down to one Apache and one man. And the Apache leader is a renegade named Goyakte. And he's a mean mother, and he's a mean green mother from outer space, and he's bad. And but I'm not going to give away any endings because my endings are kind of cool, so I have to kind of watch it. But you can go on my website. All my books are listed there. Yeah, and and then Tuscany Bay, we have some books are listed there, some are not. It just depends. But we have got them all under now our banner of Tuscany Bay. So, and we've done, I want to say 4 or 5 books now by separate authors under the Tuscany Bay banner. And they've all been very happy with it. And we just finished a series of children's books for Mary Elizabeth Jackson. I don't know. Oh, maybe you know of Mary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just did her Pollucious books.
Oh, nice.
And her co-writer Thornton Klein just did a book for his sister, Lizzie the Librarian, a children's book. Oh. And going to be working on another book for Mary, which is a young adult novel, which is going to be interesting. And we have Richard and I in Tuscany Bay just finished Tuscany Bay's planetary anthology series of all the planets plus the sun.
Wow.
So all of those are up now in series in Amazon. So those are all available.
Can we go on your website to get them?
No, you can find them on Amazon. Yeah, just go to planetary anthology series and then a colon, and they'll bring them up for you, and you can pick whichever ones you want. Okay. And we've gotten nothing but good reviews on the books themselves, the editing and the formatting, and we've taken a lot of care with them. So,
oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All of your Western novels you've written, what was the hardest scene to write and why?
I want to say the hardest one I had to write was the one. That's a very good question. Here, this actually is a hardcover of Jefferson's Chance. That's actually available on hardcover. I was amazed.
I'm gonna get that.
Let me see.
Everybody on that question, they're like, "Wow."
I didn't. Of course, I didn't list them in this one. The hunter owned a horse that belonged to his son that was killed by a snake bite, and he was in Appaloosa, and his son named the horse Horse. So when his son dies, he takes Horse as his own. It's a big Appaloosa boy. He's like 15'2", big foundation horse, and that's what he's been riding for 17 years. And the horse loses an eye in a cactus accident. I mean, the horse is still going. And the hardest thing I had to do was when Horse went down and died of colic, and they had to put him down. Yeah. And I think, man, I had stopped and cried when I wrote that part because it was really hard on me. Yeah, because he became a very big character in these books, and all of a sudden he was gone. Yeah. So. I mean, it brings up a lot of emotions because when you lose horse, I was a horseman for years, and I've lost several horses through not accidents, but getting old and infirm and injured, and and it's just, you have to put them down and you just sit there and you talk to them and hold them as long as you can to let them know that you're there for them. Yeah, I think they understand that.
Oh yeah, they do.
All animals understand that.
Yeah.
So, but One of the hallmarks of my books, other than other Western writers, is these guys, my characters, take time out to care for their animals, and they brush them out daily, and they clean their hoofs daily, and they were constantly watching out for their welfare and their feet, and because that's what they had to do. This was your friend. This was the only friend you had sometimes within hundreds of miles was your horse.
Yes.
And your mule, because nobody went anywhere without a mule. If you were going for a day or two, you had a mule with you, because you can't carry that much on a horse.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the hunter rides around with his big white mule named Sarah. And in one of the books, Eastern Men, Sarah is killed.
Mm-hmm.
And so he winds up with another big white mule, and he names Sarah too. And another big strapping white mule, so that he knows how to pick them.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so there's some scenes that are hard to write. I think the opening to Contraband Cowboys was one of the hardest scenes I ever wrote.
Oh,
and that's when they took the sister of these two black boys, and they killed her baby, and they put her on a rain barrel, and they hung her, and she watched her baby die while she was dying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's how cruel those assholes. Oh, excuse me, those buttheads were. I have to watch myself sometimes.
I mean, I feel what you're feeling. Like,
well, I mean, on our show, we can say what we want. I mean, I had a guest in one night that just let the F word bomb out. I mean, every other word. That's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
She isn't doing anything with me, so what do I care? But like I said, live radio. But it's like there are some scenes that are hard to write. I don't know. Are you a writer? I don't know.
I'm working on a novel, but it's taking me a long time.
Well, then you understand the chagrin of trying to finish one and trying to get everything just right.
Yes.
Definitely. And so the advice I will give to you: don't do that. Write the story. Let someone else tell you what needs to get fixed.
That's what question I was going to ask you next. What advice would you give to help others who want to do writing?
That's right. That's why we have editors, and that's why we have people who format and proofread, and without them, I don't know what we'd do.
Yes.
My wife actually is one of the better editors that I know, and she beats me up a lot.
So
but
so we can get the
please do. Oh, great cover. Oh yeah. You want to see it again? I got it. It's right here.
Yeah, I want to see.
This is a not for sale stripe that goes on the book, because this is an author's copy. But you can see that it's the fake leg and the Texas Ranger badge. Kind of tells you an idea of what it's going to be about. Jefferson's Chance, $16.95 on a hardcover.
Nice.
Get one.
Well, can I get a signed copy of it when I purchase it? Because
maybe
I want a signed copy.
Maybe.
Okay.
Of course. I just sent one to our guest that was on last week. Oh my gosh, she was so good. I don't know if you know of her, Carrie Peresta.
Probably.
She has written a book called The Deadening, and it's about a young lady who's left for dead in front of a hospital after having to just living crap beat out of her. Her skull. I mean, just she has no memory when she wakes up, and the entire book is about her remembering what happened to her.
Oh,
and it's so good. It goes in almost like lumps. You get an even spot, and then it goes up again, and it gets you up there, and then it drops down and gives you a chance to take a breath, and then it goes back up again. It's really a good story.
I'm gonna check that out. Wow.
I was so impressed. I gave her a 5-star review on Amazon.
Wow.
And I don't do that often.
I'm gonna check that one out. What is it called again?
I'm sorry?
What is the book called again?
Oh, The Deadening.
Okay.
The Deadening, yeah. I have a friend that has been on our show 2-3 times, and her name is Paris Afton Bonds, and she's a New York Times bestselling writer. And she writes Western romance.
Nice.
And she got a hold of Jefferson's Chance and just went, and the one right before it, Jonah Blue, and just went crazy.
Wow. Check
She
those
just loved both those books. Jonah Blue is about mountain men.
mountain men. Oh,
Yeah, and it's really a good story.
ooh,
Once again, it's a young man who winds up becoming a mountain man in 1830.
wow.
He's 10 years old. And he gets taken under the wing by this old mountain man named Rensfeld Doggett. And they go up into the mountains and Rockies into his place that is Rennie's secret place. It's called San Francisco Lago. And they teaches him to trap and to hunt and be a mountain man. And at 12 years old, he takes Jonah to his very first rendezvous.
Wow.
This is when all the mountain men used to get together in Green River, and they used to party at Hardy for a month.
I'm gonna put that out too. Wow, you just giving me a lot of references to books I need to read.
Well, hey, us writers got to have somebody to buy them. I mean,
Definitely. I want to
yeah,
thank you so much, Jim, for coming on my show today and allowing me to interview you.
truly my pleasure.
You have a
Truly
great day. Oh,
you do as well, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
thank you. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye bye.
So, thank you all so much for listening to this interview with Jim Christina. I have linked his website below. It is right there. You have to type in the full website and you can purchase his novels, his books. You can see what he's up to. You can see other hosts that are on there and other novels that are on there. So I hope you all have a great day and thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it.